Welcome to the Reckless Experience with Mark podcast with your host, Mark Vickery. This is a podcast about life, the show that brings you the know-how, the how-to, and the WTF. Each week, discussing daily life with interviews of people you really want to know. Now, here's your host, Mark Slick Vickery.
Welcome back to the Reckless Experience with Mark. I'm your host, Mark Slick Vickery. Well, the Trucker Convoy 2022, what the fuck, continues. First off, I want to say I got a lot of feedback from my last episode, The Great Divide, and I will apologize for the misunderstanding that some of you have had with what I had stated on that episode. Some of you feel that I compared the protesters and their organizers with the Taliban. Well, I would like to clarify, I understand where you're coming from, and I do apologize for that. I was not exactly comparing them with protesters and vice versa. I simply was trying to pass on a point, as many of us Canadians, well, humans around the world, we see the words freedom and we're kind of all for it. We jump in head first. We don't have details. As an example, I used was the Taliban. As some of you know, that they use that phrase, that title, Freedom Fighters for the People. So what my comparison was not that the protesters and their organizers are like the Taliban. My comparison was in the word freedom. Okay, so let's make that clear. I will not delete that episode. It is what it is. If you misunderstand it, I'm sorry. I apologize if I offended you. It wasn't my intent. I totally agree with your thoughts on it. Every one of you that commented, some are friends, some are strangers. I won't argue with anybody over stuff. I'll have small debates and so on. It is what it is. Everybody will have their own opinion and their own thoughts and their own beliefs. And I respect that. Let's put this past us. Again, it's just about the word freedom. I want my listeners to understand just because you want freedom doesn't mean you have to jump on the first thing that has freedom in the title because you think it's going to help with you getting your freedom back. I'm not worried about all the other protests across Canada, the world, whatever. As I've stated before, Canada is its own country. We have our own government. Who gives a shit what other countries are doing? As I've said from the beginning, it doesn't matter what the cause, what the event, or who they are, especially near a parliament building of any type or government building. Police anywhere in North America have never allowed people to carry fuel and gas and tanks of fuel and such around in the large amounts that these protesters are doing. I get it. They need fuel, they need food, they have to stockpile it. But in the end, this is not safe. Think about it. If I'm a bad guy and I have terrorist thoughts and I want to kill people, remember, they were Canadians, whether they're from another descent or not, they were Canadians that have used vehicles and bombs to kill people on Canadian and US soil. Remember that. Protest is going on, there's fuel cans everywhere. Every video you look, there's piles of fuel cans on trucks, beside trucks and cars and in tented areas. So if I had bad intentions, I could literally fill a gas can up with diesel and I could fill a backpack up with fertilizer. For those of you that don't know, fertilizer and fuel is how they brought down the federal building in the US. What would stop me, a terrorist, a Canadian that has vendettas against the government and people and protesters and non-protesters, to carry a gas can full of gas and a backpack full of fertilizer and an ignition source downtown Ottawa in amongst all the protesters to Parliament and the police and blow shit up? There isn't. There isn't anything to stop someone from doing that. This is why the police need to take the actions they are taking. People need to get this through their thick fucking skulls. Protest all you want. Yes, you're allowed to. It's a free country, regardless of what you think. But you have to follow the laws. The food vendors down there, you gotta have safety. You're feeding people, for crying out loud. You gotta follow the rules just like everybody else. Just because you're protesting doesn't mean you get to break the law. The whole thing with the fuel blows my mind. This is way too much fuel and gas cylinders in one location to not be stored, A, properly, have 24-hour guard or locked up. And they aren't going to tell me it's locked up because I watched so many videos, live videos last night on YouTube, walking around and they're showing, one guy even said, oh, look, a fire barrel, unattended. Oh, look at this propane heater with flames on it, unattended. I'm going to warm my hands up. And then he walked away. No one's there with it. They were too busy at the stages, partying to the dance music and having a great old time. Remember, no matter how bad someone is, there's always someone else that's worse. And many of you that are protesting here are making the government and the police to be the worst. Last night, I was up so late reading everything I could online, not even to do with mainstream media. And I'm telling you, it's ridiculous. The way people are saying things. The videos that I watched from downtown Ottawa, every time the police tried talking to the protesters, the people that were kind of in charge of the camp area where they stored food and stuff, they kept praying. They would stop and they would pray. And then they would preach their prayers to the police. The police don't care about your God, and they don't care about your religion. Telling them they are going to repent and all this crap and Jesus is going to save us. This isn't going to work. You're turning a blind eye to the whole process. I get it. People have religion and they have that right. I personally am not religious. However, pushing it on others, I dislike very much. Fire department came in with a heavy police escort. Protesters kept stating in their videos that there's snipers on the roof. I don't know what they're up to. There's snipers on that roof. There's snipers on that roof. And they're all in riot gear and tactical gear. Their fear tactics aren't going to work. And nothing leaves here. The one doing all the preaching, the old guy said, nothing leaves here. Nothing. Even if we have to stand our ground and fight for it. Well, first of all, snipers on the roof, protocol. Okay? For all you know, they're up there without their sniper rifles. They're probably up there, binoculars, looking for fires, so they can let the police that are on foot, hey, you need to go to such and such street, the corner of this and corner of that. There's interactions there. They have a bird's eye view. That's it. And even if they did have snipers up there, do you blame them? They're outnumbered 100-1 in some cases. So anyways, the fire department hooked up a trailer, an actual fuel trailer. So you're talking probably 500-gallon tank, approximately. Okay, that tank is less than 40 feet. And I guessed that because I saw someone walk in normal strides from the fire barrel to that fuel trailer. It only takes some sparks, okay? These people that are protesting, most of them do have common sense. They do. They really do. Surprising, isn't it? But they don't when it comes to shit like this. They don't understand. There was fire barrels and propane flamed heaters within 2 to 3 feet of nylon tents. Like, come on, people. You're not only putting yourself at danger, you're putting out the people that support you. You're putting them in danger. When people protest and they get forced to do stuff, they tend not to think clearly. And it's very frustrating for someone that sits back like myself and sees the layout and sees everything, right? So it's hard for me. It's hard for me to understand. I do understand why they're protesting. I totally support you. Protest. We want the mandates gone, the border one. What I'm most angry about myself, my wife works in the medical industry, so she's gotten her shots and everything, but she's worked in that industry for many, many, many years, way before COVID. And they have always told their staff, to do this job, you need these vaccines. If not, when you do get sick, you must not work. It's simple as that. You have a choice. Just like COVID. They were given like 3 months. Make the choice. Understandable. Think about it. They have the right to refuse, but the hospital has the right to take care of the patients that are there. Unfortunately, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Thank you, Leonard Nimoy, for that good old Star Trek phrase, because it's true. So that is the one thing I don't like, that they laid off people that came with truckers, police. Now, police in many districts have the option to test. They can test before every shift, test after every shift, depending on the district they're in. Perfectly fine. They do have to pay for it out of their pocket. It is what it is. We have to fight for those rights. But taking up an occupation, building buildings, camping out, having parties, trying to encourage the public to come down and party, bouncy castles, stuff for the kids to do, great. I understand that you're trying to entertain everybody and keep them on the hill. You're trying to keep everybody downtown by doing that. You're offering them free food from the money that's come in and donations and volunteers. You know what I'd like to know? Where the fuck are all these donations and volunteers when the homeless need it or when there's natural disasters? Where are these? Where are these donations and these supporters? Bullshit. It's bullshit. If those were indigenous or black protesters up there, they would have been dragged out by their short and fucking curly fucking pubic hair out of the fucking area. The same needs to happen with these fuckers. They're doing everything they can to break the law and they're stating they're peaceful. They may be peaceful, but they're still breaking the fucking law. Drag them out of there by their short and fucking curlies and let the residents live their fucking lives. Bullshit. And yes, I'm angry. I support the cause. What pissed me off from the beginning is the organizers that latched on to this. They've done this before. They did it in 2019 with the truck convoys in Quebec. Okay? I'm telling you. Pat King, by all the information you see online, he's an open white supremacist, along with the police officer, the ex-RCMP that's working with him, works with the Wexit program out of Alberta. They all have the same intention. Tamara, the organizer, and Stu, and all the other ones that are the main organizers, they all work with racist protocol, racist groups. She is completely against the Islam brotherhoods and stuff coming to Canada. She's against all the truckers that are East Indian and from Pakistan. She's vocaled this in public before. But of course, now that this has all come out, they all of them but Pat King, seem to be deleting everything, hiding everything they can. Well, someone out there still has that information. And as I found on YouTube, many people are coming out trying to tell people, look, these are your organizers. They have lawyers. You do not. As a couple of truckers found out yesterday, those lawyers are for the organizers. Those fancy hotel rooms where they're staying warm and getting nice meals, eating out at the keg and whatever else they're doing, those are for the organizers. And where are they getting that money? Oh shit, it's from all the idiots that gave them donations. Come on, people. Give your money to a better cause. Get our veterans and our homeless off the street. Don't expect the government to do everything for you. Didn't your parents teach you how to live and how to grow up and be good adults and good people? People depend on the government. They depend on the police. They depend on everybody to to do everything for them. Get off your lazy fucking ass. Go get a job, support your family, and stop whining and crying about every little thing. Oh my God, people. Holy fuck, I feel like I just had a workout. I'm out of breath here. People need to give their heads a shake. You know what? I was proud to see so many people supporting the truckers on the highway. I'm supporting that. I loved it. What I don't like is the occupation that's followed it. This was supposed to be a one episode thing, but I just can't resist. And I feel so bad. I see a lot of my friends on my social media, some that I've been close with over the years. And I'm so disappointed. And I'm full of care here. Like I hate seeing them be misled. Support the truckers. Yes. Okay? I get that. But remember, the truckers that can't get vaccinated or choose not to is less than 20% of Canada's truckers. And not all of them delivered essential goods. That is not the reason we are having stock issues in some area. Where I live on Vancouver Island, there's a lot of things. We've had natural disasters. We've had bad weather where the ferries that not only ship people but transport goods were not always able to run. Like, there's a reason here. We already had minimal stock on shelves before all that stuff. And as far as staff, well, I'm going to be honest with you. Canadians are lazy. I'm one of them. I'm not going to lie. I grew up being told how to live life and to get off my ass and do it for myself. I was taught that. I also did the farming, had my own farm stuff. I did that and I learned hard work. I'm not afraid to get my hands dirty. But there's a lot of Canadians out there that just don't want to do anything. They want to sit at home, collect government money, or they want to have an online business. They want to have a YouTube channel. And they don't want to make any big bucks. They just want to make enough to survive and stay home and not have to work and give to society. I always hear the same bullshit complaint. Fucking foreigners taking over our jobs, working all those 15-hour days, working all the overtime. What the fuck? Really? Well, maybe that's because that's the only people that are willing to fucking work. Maybe you should get off your lazy ass, stop calling in sick once a week, and actually go to fucking work. Oh, well, that's a good idea. You know what? I'm a simple guy. I'm that type. As long as my immediate bills are paid, I have food on the table, a roof over my head, and wheels to get to where I need to go, I'm happy. You know, I've not always been that guy. Honestly, I dream about winning the lotto. I want to make millions. I've had jobs where I've made six figures, but I've had jobs where I made minimum wage and can barely pay the bills. Those are by choice, by me. If I want to better myself, I need to get off my lazy ass and I need to be positive and I need to go better myself. You know, these last 10 days, I've spent more time on social media than I like. I do not like to spend that much time on social media. I have in the past, yes, but I try to stay away from it. I try not to comment because when I do, it doesn't matter whether you have straight facts or whether you have bullshit facts, or I could go on to any Facebook page right now about the protest and I could just say, "Hi, my name is Mark. I'm from Vancouver Island." And I guarantee 100 people out of the 300 there will bash me for it. Call me a liberal, call me a sheep. Like, what the fuck, people? That leads me to this. I was going on the Freedom Convoy 2022 reload page, and I noticed some links in there. Supposedly, there is about 60 Gofundme pages for the Canadian Freedom Convoy 2022. Some are labeled Help the Truckers, Adopt a Trucker. Now, there is no proof that any of these are related, but people are given money. So one of them, the police actually arrested this person. I haven't seen it in mainstream media yet, but I've only seen it because someone videotaped it and put it on YouTube. They actually stated that they were arrested for fraudulently taking donations, and they weren't even in this country. Like, wow. Oh, and people just, oh, there it is. Freedom Convoy. Gofundme. I'm going to go donate. Dumbass. Give your money to a better cause. It's just silly. You're giving the protest organizers way too many powers. Okay, as I stated before, so they have Canada Unity. Pat King, this Stu, and Brian and his wife. I think that's Brian and his. I have their names, but I don't have it with me. If you do a search, you're going to find them. A lot of them are Canada Unity employees or staff members labeled on their site with their pictures. They have a memorandum they've given to the government, and they're getting people to sign it, protesters and such, trying to like encourage the government, or should I say force the government, to step down to end all COVID mandates, vaccine passports. It also states that they want all fines and charges related to COVID to be dropped and abolished off those people's history and records. They also want the present government in full to step down. They want to appoint their party, their non-politicians. One of them, I believe, was a politician prior to all this bullshit, but he's no longer employed by the government. He is one of the ringleaders here. And they want to assign their own party to run this country. Okay. So I'm going to tell you this. People, my faithful listeners, hear the words that are coming out of my mouth. They want their own people to run this country in place of the government. They are using this protest to get what they want. They are using our hard-earned money that's been donated to them to inflict that power. Each and every one of the organizers has racist ties of some sort on things they've done in the past, including the lawyer, including the ex-politician, and including the ex-RCMP officer. Okay? So let that sink in. Just lie back and let it sink in. Think about that. So think about how well they organized this convoy all over Canada and other countries I'm sure they're part of. But think about it. What a great job they did. Some of you think they did a fabulous job. You need to get your head out of your ass because they definitely didn't do a very good job. They've not only made themselves look bad, they've ruined protesting, who we all have a loving right to do. You've ruined it for all of us because now the government is going to pass laws that prevents a lot of the stuff we're able to do. So thanks for fucking us by taking away more freedoms than what you're getting back. Thank you for that. Fucking assholes. Honestly, this has been a nightmare for many people that live downtown Ottawa, people that have businesses. And every time you look on YouTube and Facebook and you see these videos that are supported by the protesters and their organizers, they all say the same thing. Police are doing their job, but they're gonna be doing the job for us sooner than you think. And the government's bad. The mainstream media is bad. They don't produce anything. They make us look bad. They feed us all bad information. You know what? It doesn't matter the media source, whether it's the organizers, the protesters, or the mainstream media. None of them get the story right to begin with. None of them. It's always pieced together. It's that same old story. Bobby told Brian. Brian told Sally. Sally told Fred. Fred told his sister told his daughter, and then by the time it gets down the row, it's distorted completely. Idiots. So anyways, I do watch the news, different types of news, whether it be CTV, CBC, CNN, whatever. I also watch social media stuff and YouTube stuff from the non-official reporters, I guess I'll call them, influencers or whatever, the raw stuff. Okay. They all have their good, they all have their bad. You got to remember, the mainstream media supports the majority of the people who run the country and live in this country and have accepted the rules and regulations. The ones that create chaos, like what they're doing in Ottawa, what they did in a few other major cities over the weekend, if the media promoted that stuff and showed everything, then they're no different than social media. They're promoting it, and that's not what they do. They inform. They only need to inform the bad stuff. They don't need to inform the good stuff. They don't have to do shit. These people were invited to have a news conference. They did. Now, every news conference, they always go over some kind of script rules. They want to know what they're going to talk about. Let them know that these are the questions. The questions are always pre-written. The reporters know what they're going to ask prior to. Okay, fine and dandy. They said they'd answer all these things. They didn't. And when the RCMP showed up at that facility, someone contacted them and said the RCMP are gathering downstairs. The lawyer literally put down his cell phone, stopped talking, and shuffled everybody out the door. I wonder why they did that. Were you afraid you were going to get arrested for something? Most likely. But they weren't. They just happened to be meeting there. Dumbasses. So anyways, they had their own news conference last night as one reporter caught up and videotaped them getting on an elevator and said, hey, why aren't you letting all news media? Why are you only bringing your own news media? They got their own news media. I don't know if you saw the full clip on YouTube of the official news conference, but they had about a dozen of their own posse, and they all had their cell phones, and as they were leaving, they walked backwards, videotaping all the reporters and stuff like they were backing out of a hostage situation. It was quite comical. Soon to be reporters, I guess. I don't know. But then the fella that started lipping off to the media after the others left, I didn't clue into who he was, but he looked familiar. And it turns out he wasn't in the interviews or the news conference. He was in the crowd. If you go to Canada Unity, he's actually one of their staff members. So he was purposely there to lip off about stuff. So another YouTuber pointed that out. I didn't figure that out, but I knew he looked familiar because I had already looked over that site. So I thought that was quite comical. So anyways, I have yet to see information about this news conference they had last night, the organizers, that is. I did see in Alberta, a group of them had a little conference of their own, and they have a couple of doctors there. Well, these doctors are not disease doctors. They don't know. Just because you're a doctor, remember, okay, I could be a veterinarian. I could give a human being stitches. I could treat them with minor stuff, infections and whatever. Some of it's common sense, right? A chiropractor can do this. They all went to similar schools in the beginning, right? You got that part. So, a family physician. My family physician in Ontario, he's been doing it for 30 years. But when I had my back surgery, he couldn't read. I gave him the disc for the MRI. And he actually told me straight up, Mark, I can't read that shit. I wasn't trained in that. So I said, okay, fair enough. I understand that. He says, I have to wait for the on-call doctor and the technician to actually forward the information to me. I accepted that. He's a professional. He doesn't want to overstep his boundaries, and I totally understood that. They don't know shit about the disease unless it's something they read or what they learned. But they could learn if they took the time to learn it. I don't know. I'm not them. So I have no idea what they are or what their qualifications are. Oh, wait. They did tell what their qualifications were. And honestly, I think they're horse shit. Because all they did was bash the medical industry. No doctor would turn around and bash the industry that he or she has an oath to. They don't do that. Same with the police. Those police that aren't so good police and they do illegal acts, and lie, cheat, and steal, and whatever else, they don't belong there. And somewhere along the line, we need to weed those kind of people out. Because those are the ones that make everybody hate doctors, police, paramedics, firemen, government. Right now, there's a feud in the government. Canada Unity knows this. They've known it for 4 years. Liberals and the Conservatives have been at each other's throats for years. Right now, the Conservatives are on a rocky fucking boat. They got rid of O'Toole. You know what? I liked O'Toole. He's an ex-military guy. He knew his stuff, but I think he followed his party's suggestions. I think, which is what they do, right? But I think he was misled. I think he had good intentions, but he was misled. So kudos to him for stepping down and being the better man. The one that's in charge now, oh my goodness. She's a Trump supporter, wears his hats and goes down and does anti-government protests and so on and so on. She's done all that. There's video proof on the internet. She's also had emails leaked to O'Toole stating that we need to let this protest stuff be the Prime Minister's problem. We need to enhance it, let it be their problem. They're trying to destroy the government in charge. The government in charge isn't exactly a good government in my eyes, but they are in many eyes. So everybody has their own likes and their own needs, their own wants. Everybody automatically assumes if you're a liberal, you're a rich snot that robs from the babies and the poor to fill their bank accounts. That's a majority of people think that with liberals. Well, that's not true. Not true at all. I think in this day and age, I don't think anybody really cares whether they're NDP, liberal, or conservative. I think they care whether about that politician actually cares for the people and the country. That's what they care about. So personally, I couldn't care what group gets into office. They're never fully anyways. There's always seats from the other groups anyhow, so they conflict. Watching the House of Commons in Canada is like watching a kindergarten class play dodgeball. Yes, watching a House of Commons is like watching kindergarten kids play dodgeball. It's fucking chaos and ridiculous, and you just want to laugh because it's fucking adorable. Seeing them ask questions and then beat around the bush and then ask the same questions that do the same answers, the same questions, the same answers, and not getting any results. Honestly, they need to give their heads a shake. Do this properly. You are on national TV. You are making yourself look like idiots. And you're turning the people away. The people that you've sworn to uphold and support. You're turning us all away. It doesn't matter what government you're in. You're giving these protesters and the organizers a reason to do what they're doing. Canada Unity sees this opportunity. 4 years ago, they seen this opportunity and they've been planning it. Trust me, people, you do not want this to happen, ever. You do not want this to happen because those people, as they've proven over the last 48 hours, they used the truckers and these mandates as a Trojan horse. And I've been saying that from the beginning, long before I saw it on YouTube or mainstream media. I believed, once I found out who they were, that they were going to use this as a Trojan horse to get their agenda through. They are supported by some American billionaires and politicians. Why else would Ted Cruz come out and say the truckers are heroes in Canada? The Canada government needs to go. What the heck are they thinking? Well, there's been reports that Ted Cruz had a large amount of money donated to them. So this is why the government of Canada took a stance and said U.S. politicians need to stay out of Canada's business. They already know this because the FBI has made it public. Donald Trump and Donald Trump Jr. You know what? I liked some of the things Donald Trump did. He was like the Rob Ford of the U.S. However, I think he let the power go to his head, and he has other intentions. Remember, all these U.S. politicians that I'm talking about all had ties to this whole pedophile ring, okay? They also have ties to the white supremacy ring. So anyways, it's called the Wexit, I guess they call it. They want BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan. They want that to separate. Similar to the Quebec group that wanted to separate Quebec from the rest of Canada. They wanted the West to separate from Canada. Okay, separate, be their own state. They used the word state, so that tells me that it's U.S. formed. They want the West to be its own state. Right above that is the Yukon Territories. That was kind of part of it. It wasn't in the writings, but they suggested it. And then there's Alaska, which is a U.S. state. Many years ago, if you look it up on the internet, you'll find the information. The U.S. wanted the western side of Canada. They were not willing to give anything from their side. They wanted the west side of Canada. They wanted all the way up to Alaska because that was the closest way to Russia and the north, which is the quickest way across to Europe. It was all military tactics, political tactics. That's what they wanted it for. And out of the woodwork in the last few years, this bullshit is coming to light again. So they're still trying. They're still trying to get involved in this. Anyways, do your own research. Don't judge mine. Don't assume that I'm telling you 100% because I'm just following what I found in my research. It's my opinions, not that of my sponsors. I want everybody to do their research. Don't get bamboozled into this whole protest thing. Protest properly. Like the Toronto one, they came in, they put them down, and they were gone. Same with Quebec. That's a proper protest. Don't fall for this occupation stuff. Don't fall for the occupation stuff at all. And stop supporting them because I'm telling you, your money is going to people to use it for bad things. I also mentioned that this is going to end in violence. And whether the police start it, it doesn't matter. The police are eventually going to have to physically remove people and vehicles. It's what they do. It's what they get paid for. They have to do it. There's too much of a risk up on Parliament Hill right now. They have to. No matter what you think, it has to happen. I don't want violence to happen either. Not at all. But unfortunately, it is what it is. That's why they wanted all the families up there. They wanted the kids and the family because they know that was the one main thing that the police said. We can't go in there because there's families there. There's kids there. And the protesters know this. They literally are using family and kids as barricades, but they just don't realize it. Come on, people. Open your eyes. It's not a revolution. Come on. Anyways, I'm Mark Vickery with The Reckless Experience with Mark. Please subscribe and share my podcast. Again, feel free to give your opinions. As many of you know, I do not respond to many of them. I just don't have that kind of time. And when you're calling me a sheep and going that in a big text or message on my Facebook, I have no time for that childish behavior. Anyways, be safe, be kind, don't be a twat.
Thanks for joining us this week on The Reckless Experience with Mark. Be sure to visit our website at www.recklessexperience.com, where you can subscribe so you'll never miss a show. Make sure to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. And be sure to tune in next week for our next episode, The Know-How, The How-To, and the WTF.